That night, they only spoke for 18 minutes. But those 18 minutes led a billionaire to abandon his $15 billion empire and move to a small town. Because Marcus Thompson had given him something he couldn't buy with money. True love. Now Victoria's reading Emma's fairy tales instead of living in a Manhattan penthouse, making macarons instead of attending CEO meetings. And, for the first time in her life, she is truly happy. It was 2:17 a.m. Marcus Thompson was sitting in an old chair in the corner of his bedroom, calculating his bills on his laptop's blue screen. The electricity bill was overdue, the water bill had to be paid tomorrow, and the $45 needed for his 7-year-old daughter Emma's school trip was still missing. Math was ruthless. The cashier's salary wasn't enough to support a family of 3. But he wouldn't give up. When the phone rang, Marcus's heart jumped.
Who could be calling at this hour?
He picked up the phone with trembling hands. He didn't recognize the number. Hello? His voice sounded tired. Thank God, someone finally answered, said the voice on the other end. It was a woman's voice, but she sounded panicked. I'm Victoria Sterling. I think I dialed the wrong number. But please don't hang up. Marcus hesitated. Ma'am, I know this sounds really strange, the woman interrupted. But right now, I'm in a terrible situation. And your voice sounds so calm. Can we just talk for a few minutes? Marcus heard Emma's soft snoring coming from her room. Under normal circumstances, he would have hung up. But the desperation in this woman's voice reminded him of his own darkest nights. Of course, he said softly. I'm Marcus. What happened? Victoria's breath was shaky. Tonight is the 3rd anniversary of my father's death. And I'm alone in my penthouse in Manhattan on the 47th floor. And I've never felt this alone in my life. I'm sorry for your loss, Marcus said sincerely. I know what it's like to lose a father. I lost mine when I was 8. There was a moment of silence. Then Victoria's voice came back, softer. Really? Yes. Heart attack. After that day, it was just me and my mom. It was hard. Marcus looked out the window at the quiet streets of the town. But over time, the emptiness doesn't go away, but you learn to live with it. I don't think I've learned. Victoria's voice was broken. It's been 3 years and I'm still sitting in his office, reading his notes, trying to run the company he built. But tonight, I couldn't take it anymore. I dialed a random number hoping that maybe someone would answer. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Whoever this woman was, rich or poor, it didn't matter. The pain was universal. So how do you feel now? After talking to me? Better? Victoria admitted honestly. There's something in your voice. Something that makes me feel safe. Like you really care. I do. Marcus's voice was firm. Because no one should be alone. Especially on nights like this. What were you doing right now? I hope I didn't wake you. Marcus looked at the pile of bills in front of him. No, I was awake. I was looking at the bills. He paused, then added, I have a daughter, Emma. She's 7. I'm raising her on my own. Sometimes I have to do math at night. Are you a single father? Yes. My wife left us when Emma was 2. For someone else. It's just been Emma and me ever since. He heard Victoria hold her breath. And you manage on your own? As best I can. It's not easy, but I look at Emma. She's smiling, and that's enough for me. That's incredible. I can't even manage my own life, and you're responsible for someone else's. Marcus smiled slightly. Responsibility can be the strongest motivation. I'd do anything to see Emma smile. Can you tell me something about her? Victoria's voice was curious. Emma? Marcus's face lit up. She's a little miracle. Last week, as we were leaving the supermarket, there was an old man standing at the door. He was shivering in the cold. Emma took the $2 from her pocket and gave it to him. Just like that, without hesitation. Then she turned to me and said, "Dad, that man is cold, but I'm not cold." At that moment, I knew I was doing everything right. Victoria could hear her crying. She's an amazing girl. The best, Marcus said proudly. Sometimes the universe gives you the most beautiful gifts in the hardest times. I wish I could think that way. You can. It just takes time. Marcus stood up and walked over to the window. Victoria, this might sound strange, but this phone call was probably necessary for both of us. What do you mean? Tonight, I felt very alone too. Bills, worries, fear of the future. But after talking to you, it was like the universe reminded me that everyone has their struggles. And sometimes, all it takes is someone to listen. Victoria remained silent for a long time. Then, Marcus, I'm going to ask you something very strange. Go ahead. Are you in New York? Marcus paused. No, I'm in a small town in Ohio. Why do you ask? Because this conversation has changed my life. And I want to meet you. Marcus's heart raced. Victoria, I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm a cashier. I live in a small house. I don't even have a car. I don't care. Victoria's voice was firm. The kindness and understanding you showed me tonight, you can't buy that with money. People like you are rare. But you live in Manhattan, in a penthouse. You're from another world. Maybe that's why I'm so alone. Victoria said quietly. Marcus, tomorrow, can I come to your place? Marcus was taken aback. To my place? But please. I know it sounds crazy. But this conversation gave me something I haven't felt in 3 years. Hope? Marcus looked at Emma's room. This decision wouldn't just affect him. Victoria, I have to think about my daughter. She's still so young. Of course, Victoria said quickly. I'm not a bad person. I just don't want to lose this connection. Marcus was torn. His head said no. But his heart was saying something else. All right, he said finally. But while Emma is at school, at 2:00 in the afternoon, and I can't offer you much. Just a house, a simple life. That's enough for me, Victoria said with a smile in her voice. Can I have your address? Marcus gave her the address. After saving it on her GPS, Victoria said, Marcus, yes? Tonight, you saved me. I'll never forget that. We just talked. No, Victoria's voice was firm. You listened. You cared. You didn't judge. In this world, those things are very rare. After hanging up, Marcus stared out the window for a long time. It had been the strangest conversation of his life, but it was also one of the most meaningful. The next morning, as he drove Emma to school, she looked at him with curious eyes. Dad, you were on the phone last night. Who was it? Marcus looked at his daughter's innocent face. Someone who needed help, sweetheart. And sometimes strangers can be friends too. Emma nodded thoughtfully. Then you did the right thing, Dad. Mom always said that doing good always comes back around. Marcus didn't yet know how true Emma's words would prove to be. It was 1:45 p.m. Marcus's hands were shaking as he prepared coffee in the kitchen. Would Victoria really come? Maybe she'd change her mind by morning and give up on this madness. After all, coming all the way from Manhattan to Ohio, who would do such a thing? When the doorbell rang, Marcus's heart nearly stopped. He took a deep breath and opened the door. The woman standing before him was completely different from what he had expected. Victoria Sterling was wearing simple jeans, a white shirt, and sneakers that didn't look expensive. Her hair was pulled back, and her makeup-free face was tired but beautiful. But what caught his attention most was the depth in her eyes. Those eyes had seen a lot. Marcus? Her voice was as soft as it had been on the phone. Victoria. Welcome. Marcus opened the door wide. Please, come in. As Victoria looked around the house, Marcus wondered how she would react. Old furniture, a broken television, a small kitchen. But there was no judgment on Victoria's face. Instead, there was genuine curiosity. It's a very warm house, she said sincerely. Which room is Emma's? Marcus pointed to the end of the hallway. Over there. The walls are pink, and there are books everywhere. Does she like to read? Very much. I read her a story every night. Sometimes she makes up her own stories. Marcus paused. Would you like some coffee? I'd love some. While making coffee in the kitchen, Victoria looked at the photos in the living room. There were dozens of photos of Marcus with Emma. Birthday parties, picnics, Emma's first day of school. These photos are wonderful, Victoria said. She looks just like Emma. Marcus returned with 2 cups of coffee. Everyone says that, but she gets her personality from her mother. Victoria hugged her cup. You don't have to talk about your wife. It's okay. Sarah wasn't ready for motherhood. She tried for 2 years then one day she left and never came back. The divorce papers came through a lawyer. How did Emma take it? Marcus's eyes misted over. She was so young. She kept asking, "Where's Mom?" I didn't know what to tell her. Finally I said, "Mom went on a long trip, but we're okay." And does she still think that? No. She understood as she grew up. But now what she says is even more heartbreaking. It's okay, Dad, you're as good as 2 parents. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She's so lucky to have you as her father. I'm the lucky one, Marcus said firmly. Emma is the meaning of my life. Victoria sipped her coffee and thought silently for a long time. Then she said, Marcus, I want to tell you something. Last night on the phone, I wasn't completely honest. Marcus's stomach tightened. What do you mean? My real name is Victoria Sterling, and my father really did die 3 years ago. But when I told you about the penthouse, I didn't give you all the details. Marcus waited. Victoria stood up and walked to the window. My father was James Sterling, the founder of Sterling Industries. The company is involved in technology, real estate, and finance. It's a $15 billion empire. Marcus's cup slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. Pieces of porcelain scattered around him. 15 billion. His voice was just above a whisper. Victoria turned and looked at him. Yes. And since my father died, I've been at the helm of this empire. At 28, I'm one of the youngest female billionaires in the world. Marcus stood up and began picking up the pieces. His hands were trembling. Victoria, I don't understand. Why? Why didn't you tell me? Because last night on the phone, for the first time in my life, I spoke to someone just as Victoria. The Victoria Sterling, who spoke to Marcus, wasn't a billionaire CEO. She was just a woman missing her father, alone. Marcus threw the pieces in the trash, washed his hands. His mind was spinning. But now everything has changed. Why should it? Victoria's voice was hopeful. Because you're from another world. I'm a cashier, Victoria. I make $12 an hour. I'm behind on my rent. Victoria approached the table. Last night on the phone, I thanked you for listening to me. It wasn't the money. It was your time. You showed me mercy. That's something I can't buy with anything I have. But the facts don't change. Marcus's voice was tired. You solve problems with billions of dollars. I'm struggling to make ends meet. Victoria sat down quietly next to Marcus. Can I tell you a story? Marcus nodded. When I was 6 years old, my father took me to his office for the first time. There were 20 men in suits in the large conference room. They were all listening to my father's every word. That day, I realized that my father was important. But when we got home, my father sat down and read me a story. That night, he was more valuable than those 20 men in suits. Marcus listened. Years passed. My father became richer. The company grew. But he read fewer and fewer stories to me. Then he stopped altogether. Money and power took him away from the real father I knew. Victoria's voice began to break. When he died, he had billions. But the last thing he said to me was, "I wish I had read you more stories." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. When I spoke with you last night, Victoria continued, the tone of your voice when you mentioned Emma. It was the same tone my father used when he read me stories, and I realized money means nothing. You read your daughter fairy tales every night. That's worth more to me than all the billions I have. Marcus thought for a long time. Victoria, this is very complicated. I know, but I have a proposal for you. Marcus looked at her anxiously. Will you pick Emma up after school? I want to meet her. But just as Victoria. Without money. Without titles. Just as your friend. Marcus hesitated. Victoria, Emma is a pure child. I have to protect her. Of course. I want to protect her too. Because Emma is your heart. And you saved my heart last night. At that moment, the door opened. Emma came in, dragging her school bag. Dad, I came home early, because... Oh! Emma stopped when she saw Victoria. Victoria stood up and crouched down to Emma's level. Hello, Emma. I'm Victoria. I'm your dad's friend. Emma looked at Victoria curiously. You're very pretty. And your hair is brown like mine. Victoria smiled. Your hair is prettier. And what's in that bag? My homework. But first I have to give my dad a hug. Emma ran to Marcus. Marcus hugged his daughter. How was your day, sweetheart? Good. But Sarah Johnson pushed me. Then I told her. My dad says pushing isn't the answer. Then she apologized. Victoria watched the scene with tears in her eyes. This ordinary moment was something she had never experienced before. Emma, Marcus said softly. Victoria wants to have dinner with us. What do you think? Emma looked at Victoria. Do you like spaghetti? I love it. Then you can stay. But Dad, can I teach Victoria how to make macarons? Victoria was surprised. Macarons? Yes, my dad taught me. It's very easy. You just need patience. That evening, The three of them were making macarons together in the small kitchen, and Victoria had never felt so at peace in her life. Emma's innocent questions, Marcus's patient explanations. This was a world that couldn't be bought with money. Victoria, Emma asked as she stirred the dough. Where do you live? Victoria looked at Marcus. Very far away, in New York. Do you have a family? No, sweetie, just me. Emma paused. Then you must be very lonely. But it's okay, you're our friend now. And friends don't get lonely. Tears began to well up in Victoria's eyes. Emma, make Victoria cry, Marcus joked. No, Dad. These are tears of joy, Emma explained seriously. My mom's tears were like this. Sometimes people cry when they're very happy. That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Marcus and Victoria were sitting on the balcony. I'm so glad I called you last night, Victoria said quietly. Me too. But Victoria, tomorrow you're going back to New York. And this will just be a beautiful memory. Victoria turned to him. What if I didn't have to go back? What do you mean? Marcus, I've been running the company for the last 3 years. But I haven't lived. Tonight, making macarons with Emma. That was the most real moment of my life. Marcus looked at her with mixed emotions. Victoria, your life isn't here. Maybe it should be. Victoria's voice was firm. Maybe fate made me dial the wrong number, because I ended up in the right place. That night, Victoria slept on the couch in the living room instead of the hotel. When she woke up early the next morning, she saw Marcus preparing breakfast for Emma. Good morning, Victoria. Emma ran to her and hugged her joyfully. In that embrace, Victoria made the decision that would change her life forever. Victoria Sterling had never made such a definitive decision in her life. That morning, with Emma's innocent hug, her heart was telling her clearly what to do. But her mind was calculating the complications that this decision would bring. When Marcus returned home after taking Emma to school, he found Victoria on the phone. Her voice was harsh and determined. This was not the Victoria he knew. No, Richard. I understand that the contracts are urgent, but I won't be attending any meetings this week, Victoria said on the phone. Yes, you heard me correctly. I'm in Ohio. No, I'm not sick. I'm thinking. Marcus quietly went into the kitchen, trying not to listen to her conversation. Richard, look, I'm the CEO of the company, and I'm making a strategic decision. I'm here this week, period. Yes, I know my father never did that. Maybe that's why he never got to live. When Victoria hung up, Marcus handed her a cup of coffee. Is everything okay? He asked. Victoria took a deep breath. He was the vice president of my company, my father's former business partner. For the past 3 years, he's looked at me as James' daughter. This morning I told him that I won't be attending any business meetings this week. Is that a big decision for you? Victoria smiled bitterly. Marcus, I've been working 16 hours a day for the past 3 years, including weekends. I haven't taken a single day off. I have no friends, no social life, no love life. Just meetings, reports, profit and loss statements. Marcus looked at her intently. Why? Because I thought I was following in my father's footsteps. But last night I realized I wasn't following in his footsteps. I was following his ghost. Victoria looked out the window. The 18 hours I spent in this town, in your house, were the most real moments I've had in the last 3 years. Marcus sat down next to Victoria. Victoria, this can't be an escape. You have responsibilities. I know, but Marcus, be honest with me. Do I look happy here? Marcus looked at her for a long time. The tension she had shown when she first arrived was gone from Victoria's face. The emptiness in her eyes had been replaced by a sparkle. "Yes," he said honestly. "You look happy." "Because I am." Victoria's voice was soft. For the first time, I can breathe." That day, Victoria and Marcus explored the town. The small cafe, the park, the bookstore. Marcus showed her everywhere. But the place that interested Victoria the most was Emma's school. "It's very small," she said, looking at the school building. "Yes, there are 15-20 children in each class. The teachers know everyone. Emma's teacher says she's talented at math." Victoria's face lit up. "Really? What kind of math?" "She's great at problem solving. She can break down complex things into simple parts." Marcus spoke proudly. "Last week I asked her, 'Emma, what do you want to be when you grow up?' She said, 'I don't know, Dad, but someone who helps people.'" Victoria paused. "What kind of help?" When I asked her, she said, "Like you, Dad. You're always helping everyone. Customers, neighbors, me." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She loves you so much. I love her too." "But Victoria." Marcus paused. "I can't give Emma the best. A good school, private lessons, savings for college. I can't do that." "Why?" "Because I don't have any money. With my cashier's salary, I can barely cover our daily needs." Victoria thought for a long time. Then she said, "Marcus, I'm going to make you a very strange offer." Marcus looked at her anxiously. "I have a children's foundation. I started it after my father died. We support the education of talented but disadvantaged children. Emma is exactly the kind of child we're looking for." Marcus's expression changed. "Victoria, I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," Victoria said firmly. "It's an investment. Emma has potential. With the right support, that potential can be realized." "But, Marcus, listen. I've been watching Emma for the past 3 days. That child is a genius, not just in math but in empathy. Last night, just because she sensed I was upset, she brought me her favorite toy. That's a kind of intelligence that can't be bought." Marcus looked at her with mixed emotions. "Victoria, this is huge." "Huge?" "Marcus, I spend millions of dollars a day, but the money I'll spend on Emma's education, that will be the most meaningful investment I've ever made in my life." That evening, when Emma came home from school, Victoria had a special gift for her. A small pink laptop. "Is this mine?" Emma's eyes widened in amazement. "Yes, but it's not just for playing, it's for learning. Victoria will teach you how to program." Emma looked at Victoria excitedly. "Really? Will you teach me how to use the computer?" Victoria smiled. "Yes, my love. And maybe I'll teach you even more." That night, as Victoria explained basic programming concepts to Emma, Marcus watched the two of them. Emma's learning speed even surprised Victoria. "Look, Emma, if we want the computer to say hello world." "Oh, I know." Emma raised her hand excitedly. "We have to tell the computer what to write, right?" "Exactly. And we call that code." "Code? Is it like a secret language?" Victoria smiled. "Yes, exactly. It's a special language for talking to computers." Emma's face lit up. "Then I'll be bilingual. I'll speak English and computer language." That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Marcus and Victoria were sitting in the kitchen. "Victoria," Marcus began quietly, These three days have changed my life. Mine too. But tomorrow, you'll be leaving. Victoria remained silent for a long time. Then, what if I don't go? Marcus's heart raced. What do you mean? Marcus, I'll be honest with you. I like you. Not just as a friend. More than that. Marcus's breath caught. Victoria, I know it's crazy. I know it's complicated. But these 3 days have shown me that money doesn't bring happiness. You and Emma, you two give me real happiness. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Victoria, this is impossible. Why? Because you're a billionaire. I'm nothing. Victoria stood up and went to him. Marcus, look at me. Marcus turned around. Last night, I was watching you read a story to Emma. At that moment, I fell in love with you. Not your money, not your title. You, Marcus Thompson, Emma's father. The man who pays the bills at night but would do anything to make his daughter smile. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Victoria, but nothing, Marcus. I've made my decision. I can run the company from here. I'm staying here with you. Marcus was stunned. Here? In this small town? Yes, I'll buy a house here. Near Emma's school. And if you'll let me, I'll be a part of Emma's life. Victoria, this is a huge sacrifice. You're living in Manhattan, in a penthouse. Victoria smiled. Marcus? That penthouse was making me sick. Cold, empty, quiet. Here. I hear Emma's laughter. I listen to your stories. This is real life. Marcus thought for a long time. Victoria, I have to think about Emma. She's still so young. What if you change your mind in a few months? I won't change my mind, Victoria said firmly. Marcus, I promise you, I will never abandon Emma. Because she's like my own daughter now. At that moment, the phone rang. It was Victoria's phone. The screen read Richard. Before answering, Victoria looked at Marcus. It's work, but now my life isn't about work. Victoria. Richard's voice sounded frantic. Where are you? The clients in Tokyo are furious. They're canceling the contract. Let them cancel, Victoria said calmly. What? Victoria, this is a $50 million deal. Victoria, listen. I'm not going to chase every deal anymore. I'm handing the company over to professional managers. You'll be the president. Victoria, have you lost your mind? No, Richard, I've finally found it. Victoria hung up the phone and turned to Marcus. There, she said with a smile. I'm free now. Marcus couldn't believe it. Victoria, you're joking, right? No. I'm serious. Marcus, I want to live with you and Emma. Marcus held her hands. Victoria, I love you. But no. Victoria leaned toward his lips. Life is too short. Love is too rare. Their first kiss was the most beautiful moment of Marcus's life. Victoria's lips were soft, her kiss sincere and passionate. Mom, Victoria. They both turned around. Emma was standing in the hallway in her nightgown. Emma, why aren't you asleep? Marcus was surprised. I came to get some water, but you were kissing. Emma clapped her hands excitedly. Does that mean Victoria is now part of our family? Victoria knelt down to Emma's level. Emma, how does this make you feel? Do you want Victoria to stay here? Emma didn't hesitate. Of course! You're my best friend. And if my dad loves you, then I love you too. Tears welled up in Victoria's eyes. I love you too, Emma. Emma hugged her. Then you're not alone anymore. Because no one is alone in our family. 3 months later, Victoria had bought a beautiful house on the outskirts of town. It was only a 5-minute walk from Marcus and Emma's house. Every morning they took Emma to school together, and every evening they cooked dinner together. Victoria had learned to manage her company remotely. She only had video conference meetings twice a week, leaving the rest to professional managers. The company was doing even better than Victoria had anticipated. Emma's life had completely changed. Victoria was giving her private math and programming lessons. Emma's talent was developing so quickly that Victoria had hired a private tutor for her. "Dad," Emma asked one evening while doing homework with Victoria, "will Victoria really stay with us?" Marcus looked at Victoria. Victoria smiled and replied, "Emma, I will never leave you, because you are my real family." Emma clapped her hands with joy. Then, "Victoria, are you my second mom?" Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "If you want me to, yes." Emma hugged her. "I do, and I'll call you Mother Victoria." That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Marcus and Victoria were sitting in the garden. "Victoria," Marcus took her hand. "Do you regret it?" "Why would I regret it?" "For giving up Manhattan, the penthouse, the prestige of being a CEO." Victoria smiled. "Marcus, I lived in that penthouse for 3 years. But I never truly lived. The 3 months I've spent here with you and Emma have been more meaningful than those 3 years. Marcus moved closer to her. "I love you too, Victoria. Every day a little more." "I love you too, Marcus. And Emma too. You gave me a family I never even dreamed of." Victoria's phone rang. The screen read Richard. "Don't answer it," Marcus said jokingly. Victoria smiled. "I'll take it. It might be urgent." "Victoria, I have great news." Richard was excited. "The company made a record profit this quarter. The strategic decisions you made were spot on. The remote management system is working perfectly." Victoria looked at Marcus and winked. "See, Richard? Sometimes stepping back means seeing things more clearly. Victoria, you're a genius. Thanks to this system, the company is growing. And you're free." After hanging up, Victoria turned to Marcus. "There you go. Now I have the best of both worlds. A successful company and a real family." Marcus hugged her. "Victoria, I want to ask you something." "What?" Marcus knelt down, pulling out an old but shiny ring. "This is my mother's ring. It's not very expensive, but it means a lot. Victoria Sterling, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Victoria's cheeks. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." As they kissed, a voice came from Emma's room. "Mom, Victoria. Dad, can I wear a wedding dress too?" Both of them laughed. Victoria shouted, "Of course, my dear. You'll be our bridesmaid." Victoria Sterling had dialed the wrong number in her life. But that wrong number had led her to the right life. Marcus Thompson, on the other hand, had made the best decision of his life by answering the phone that night. Sometimes the universe gives you what you need most when you least expect it. What Marcus needed was not just financial support. What he really needed was someone to share his loneliness and give Emma a mother's love. Victoria, on the other hand, needed someone who would value her for who she was, not for her money, and she found that person in a wrong phone number. 6 months later, they got married in the small-town church. Emma helped the priest who married them in her white dress. Only the townspeople were there. But for Victoria, it was the biggest ceremony in the world. On their wedding night, In their new home, Victoria said to Marcus, "That night I dialed the wrong number, but I ended up in the right place." Marcus smiled. Maybe there was no wrong number. Maybe fate made us dial that number to bring us together. Victoria rested her head on Marcus's shoulder. "Then we should thank fate." Emma ran into the room. "Mom, Victoria. Dad, we're a real family now, aren't we?" Victoria and Marcus took Emma between them. "Yes, my love," Victoria said with a smile. "We're a real family now, and we'll stay that way forever." And they truly did.